Imagine for a second that aliens landed on Earth, and somehow, despite figuring out interstellar travel, they never got the idea to put computers together so that they could communicate, and so they don't have the internet. How would you go about explaining the internet to these aliens? And I think, you know what I'd say? Here's what I'd say. Very simple, very concise. This is all I need to say, okay? The internet knows. The internet knows. It may not know right now, but ultimately, the internet knows. Whether you called somebody the N-word on MySpace in 2005, or you built a little YouTube empire based on stealing other people's content, the internet will know. So here's what happened that's been making so many people ask me to cover this story here on the channel. There's this Brazilian YouTuber slash cosplayer, I guess, slash. I realize now that people who create content for the internet never do just one thing. It's always like, oh, I'm a YouTuber slash whatever slash yodeler, I don't know. So this girl has a channel, a YouTube channel called PenseGeek, which translates as Think Geek. And I just realized now that not even the name of her channel is something I've seen before elsewhere. Anyway, this girl, Sadi, she makes a lot of anime-related content. I'm not an anime guy, right? So this is the kind of thing that I don't often watch. So I had heard of Sadi, but her content is not the kind of thing that's on my subscription box on my YouTube. So a lot of people started making up a fuss because apparently she's been caught stealing content from a creator, Geoff, over at Mother's Basement. Now, the interesting thing here is that his content is in English, and part of me thinks that the reason Sadi was so brazen as to copy his video wholesale, and here's the thing too, I gotta address this. To a lot of people, the few people who popped up to defend very apparent acts of plagiarism by Sadi, this YouTuber, some people are saying, well, they're commenting on the same content. They're talking about the same material. Of course, there's going to be similar insights and things like this. No. This is not the situation where like you're following two reviewers and they're making the same contents on the movie that they both are covering. We're talking about the whole structure of Geoff's video. It's almost like she watched his video, then reverse engineered it into a script and then shot that script, because everything is the exact same. It hits all the same beats, all the same jokes in the same order. If it was one or two instances, you could chalk it up to coincidence, but it's too many times. I'm gonna leave the links to all of that in the description so you can judge for yourself. And then, of course, Geoff made us think, because she's a big YouTuber and he feels slighted for good reason. And then people started looking more into it because, like I said, the internet knows. And once the internet has sniffed something, if the internet thinks that you are up to no good, son, you're done. You are done. Sure enough, people started sniffing around and they found many other instances where Sadi's videos coincidentally sound a lot like other creators' videos. And dude, like the internet is like that dog owner that comes home and sees some poop on the carpet and then he grabs the dog by the collar and just like puts his face right up to the poop and says, "Bad! Don't do that again. Don't poop on the car. Don't. This is bad." And yo, I assume that you're not actually supposed to do that. Just chill, okay? This is not like Izzy's dog advice hour, okay? I'm not advocating you do this. I'm pretty sure someone's gonna jump in the comments to call me an idiot and say that that's actually you're gonna traumatize the dog for life, okay? It's just a thing. But my point is, the internet is like that guy. He walks into a room and it says, "Smells like some poopy carpet up in here." And once they see that you are the one who did it, they're gonna rub your face right in it, and that's what's been happening to Sadi's social media for the last couple of days. People are just like, there's just this barrage of people telling her to own up to it or to apologize, explain what was going on. They wanna know. They wanna see what her next move is going to be once that there's a big YouTuber calling her out for this very apparent theft, and then upon further inspection, more of her content seems to be pilfered wholesale from other creators, even Brazilian creators. This is the part that took me back, because I thought that the reason she's doing this to an English speaker, to an English-speaking channel, is because the language barrier is going to prevent most of her fans from ever finding out that she's stealing content. But apparently, she was ballsy enough to steal content from fellow Brazilian content creators too. So don't feel left out. So things are popping, right? People are angry. She's kind of hiding. She's not really coming right out and saying her side of the story. Anyway, so eventually she reaches out to Geoff on Facebook in a message that he then put out to the world. And I have to, for 1 second, I have to be the devil's advocate, right? Because at face value, the message she sent to him comes across as very petulant, very condescending. And I was reading the message and like translating it back to Portuguese in my head, and I'm like, no, actually, that's how girls from that part of Brazil, from that age group, that's how they talk. They kind of sound like that. I'm sure she didn't mean it like that, but translated to English out of the Brazilian culture context, it comes across really bad. But that's one thing I've seen people throw at her that I'm like, look, if to me at least, it sounded just like a girl her age would talk in any situation. Because again, she's really young, so I'm 33 years old, so I have to take these things with a grain of salt, right? Like I can't hold a young girl to the standards of that I, a 33-year-old, expect. That's my point. So she finally responded. Her much anticipated coming clean video, or so we thought, goes up. It got a lot more hits than her usual fare gets these days. And she wasn't really apologizing at all. She just says, you know, we kind of watch the same things, and I never seen his channel before. I never seen his channel before in my life. And I'm sorry you feel that way. And all the goodwill I was trying to show her with that Facebook message thing goes right out the window, because I'm sorry you feel that way sounds shitty in Portuguese too. So yeah, you should have owned up. One little side note that I have to throw in there, I saw a lot of North Americans offended at her use of gringo. And one thing I have to explain is that in Brazilian culture, that's a term of endearment. Nobody says that to disparage people from other places, at least in my experience. I've never seen that. That's not how the word comes across. Like, I was married to a Canadian girl for many years, and even my family called her the gringo, right? So it's a term of endearment. It's not disparaging. Some people are calling her racist for saying that. That's not how the word works in our culture. It doesn't quite work that way. So this is where we are right now. Like I said, I'm trying to avoid using all, because that's the thing too. I wanted to show all of the instances where she allegedly, let's say, stole from other content creators, including Brazilian content creators. But one, it is exactly almost midnight here in Calgary. I have to work early tomorrow, and I just don't have the time. Some other people, including Geoff from Mother's Basement, did a much better video showing all of the alleged theft that went on. So I'm gonna leave his video here in the description. You can judge for yourself. And you know what's funny? Even his very comprehensive record of her apparent plagiarism is now kind of out of date, because people have found more things. Like I said, the internet knows. It might not know right now, but it will know. The most ironic thing about all this is that she even stole a video that was critical of lack of creativity on YouTube. Believe it or not, she actually ripped that video off. Like a video that complains about lack of creativity. She basically reshot that script and she passed it off as her own, which is like, how unself-aware. Ultimately, I think this is my takeaway from this situation. This only proves how hard it is to admit wrongdoings, to admit that you were wrong. It's so human, isn't it? Like, there's a reason why in the creation story as told by the Bible, when God goes down to the Garden of Eden after Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, he's like, someone did some sinning up in here. And when he asks Adam, the first thing he says, like, I didn't do anything. She did it. She did it. She made me do it. I don't think it's a coincidence that this story shows up so early in the Bible, right in the first couple of chapters. Man is created, and then almost immediately after, not wanting to take responsibility for something you did. I don't think it's a coincidence that this shows up so early in the story of how mankind was created. So I get it. It's very hard to admit that you screwed up, right? But at times, that's the only option you have. Because, and I noticed this on the Brazilian side of the internet, her name has now, this is quick, the internet moves fast. It knows, and it moves very fast. In the last couple of days, that's all it took for her name to become synonym with theft of content, theft of someone's creation. So I was thinking, right, like today I was like, how could have, what could have been the best thing that she could have said? So the first thing was, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Looking back on these videos, I didn't realize how close I was. I love his channel. First of all, don't lie about not knowing the guy's work. It's obvious you have seen it at least a couple of times, because I'm not sure you could have watched it just once and copied his all of his jokes and his script wholesale the way you did. So don't lie, okay? Like you're just digging yourself deeper. Just what you should have done is say, I'm sorry. I love his channel. I get a lot of inspiration from his channel. Great content. And I wanted to talk about some of the similar topics that he covered. And unfortunately, I guess I got too carried away and I ended up using some of the expressions, some of the analogies he made, not even realizing that I had heard that on his channel. And that was a real mistake. As a content creator, I should know better. I'm gonna demonetize those videos or take them down. I'm gonna issue a public apology, which would be what I'm describing here, I suppose. That would have been so much better. People love those stories of somebody who screwed up but is owning up and is saying, look, it's my fault. I am really sorry. I'm gonna try to avoid that happening in the future. It's not gonna convince everybody. You're not gonna come out of this smelling like roses, but it's definitely better than, I'm sorry you felt that way, and by the way, never even seen your channel. Chill. Like, come on, dude, that's horrible form. Anyway, that's what I think. How do you feel about this situation? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like the kind of content I put out on this channel, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, because YouTube sucks at letting you know I put new videos out. Anyway, that's all the time I have for today. I'm Izzy, and I'm done.
Wow.